Hey everyone, I'm Nick.
I'm Vic.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. Today we're looking at The Search for Planet X. It's a 1 to 4 player game by Foxtrot Games and Renegade Game Studios. It is by Ben Rossett and Matthew O'Malley. Vic, teach us how to play.
So in The Search for Planet X, you are trying to find Planet X, and you're given different logic and rules about different objects and how they may appear in the sky that you're surveying and you're looking at to find Planet X. So there's standard and there's expert mode that you can play on. Standard mode is a little less challenging, and it has less sectors that you can play with and less objects. So there's going to be more dwarf planets in the expert mode, and there'll be different ways that those empty spaces, which are either truly empty or they can contain Planet X. When you do a survey or a target action, you're only ever told that it is empty. It appears empty, but it may not be truly empty because it could have Planet X, of course, so you can't discount that. So when you have more empty spaces, it's more places for Planet X to be. So the standard version only has 2 and 5 for the expert one. So in this game, you're going to spend your time doing certain actions, and different actions will have different time costs. So you could do a survey action. You'll, for instance, you'll look at areas of the visible sky on the board. Depending on what side you play, you'll be given a range of numbers of sectors that you can look at to survey or to target. You're not able to survey or target outside of those sectors. You have to do it within the visible sky. And when it comes to targeting, you can only target up to twice in the game. You can't continue to target each one. A survey action is just going to tell you how many of a certain object that you're surveying for can be found in a range of sectors. The more sectors that you survey, actually, the less cost there is. So the more you're precise on it, the more turns or time you're going to spend moving forward on the board track, giving your opponent ultimately more actions because you're getting a more precise idea of what objects are in that sector. But if you survey for a larger number, you're going to be told how many of those objects that you're looking for are in that area. Targeting just tells you simply what's in that sector straight up, so then you know without any doubt what's there. Next we have researching. Research, you're given at the beginning of the game, it's app driven, which I forgot to mention. The app is what dictates this information, and it's a unique game each time that you play with, and you're sort of querying the app to get this information. So the app's going to provide you with a number of starting information that you'll know of relationships between different objects like gas clouds and dwarf planets or comets and asteroids and so on and so forth. So when you do the research action, you only spend 1 turn, but you can't do them consecutively. You can only do 1 research action, not back-to-back research actions in your turns. And then you'll move forward only 1, and that gives you just another logic rule that you can apply to understand how to find the objects better when you're narrowing it down on your sheet, which I will put a picture of in front of me. But there are 2 sides to the sheet, and this is what players will use in secret behind their sort of barriers to narrow it down because they don't want anyone else to see what they're learning. So that's the research action, is just giving you more information about the objects, and then you can locate Planet X, which would kind of be the last thing you do. And when you do that, you're going to say where Planet X is, and you're going to describe the sectors that are immediately adjacent to it. So you need to know all that information before you can locate Planet X. And once that's done, the game is over, and the other players are given a chance to either locate Planet X, give their opinion of what it could be for lesser points because they weren't the first one, or the other players will put down theories. Now, theories I didn't speak about, but they do come as you move around on the board. The theory phase takes place when you reach the theory symbol, marked in the visible sky turny thingy, whatever the name is for that. And when that happens, players are given these little chits that they're able to put out what they believe the location is for an asteroid or any of the objects, a comet, a gas cloud, a dwarf planet, and they'll put them down at the top of the peer-reviewed track. And what ultimately happens is as you encounter those peer review theory phase indicators, it's going to move down close inward, and once it hits the final and 4th spot, the object is flipped over, and you click peer review on the app, and you will do a quick check to see if you are in fact correct. If you were, all of the objects of that sector are revealed, and only those that are correct remain. Any that are incorrect are removed. And at the end of the game, you're going to score points for having guessed the correct location of these objects throughout the game. So you're given many opportunities to place 0 to 2 of these chits per player each theory phase. And that's, in a nutshell, how you play. Did I forget anything, you think?
So mostly no. I think that pretty much covers it. In an expert game, it's 0 to 2. So it just depends which game you play. Vic and I play a lot of expert because we're experts.
Yeah.
So we are. It is 0 to 2 in an expert, but in a standard, I believe it's 0 to 1. Also, then in a standard game, you have little spots. You have one spot for a conference, and in an expert game, you have 2 spots for a conference. What that does is it reveals direct information about Planet X. It can say Planet X is within 2 spaces of an asteroid, and that is shared information. Both players get that. So unlike some of the other things where are hidden information, that one is something that occurs statically on the board, and we both do it at the same time.
Another thing I would say is that when you do a research action, you're given a rule. That rule doesn't change. Like if you were to look research A, for instance, if somebody else researches A, they're going to get the same clue. It's not varied in that way. It's one rule per item there.
Yeah. So if you hit it, even if you hit it again, it's still going to be the same thing. So don't waste your action doing that. You could always ask your opponents, "Hey, that was an accident. Can I pick another action?"
Yeah,
and they should say yes.
I did that a couple times.
So, I guess I'll go into my thoughts.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
So, going into this, I was expecting it to be similar to Cryptid, a deduction game out there. You're trying to find something, some unique item where it only exists in one space in one condition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it quite the same. I think it's because it's a lot of writing down, a lot of deducing that way. Whereas you're kind of running off a checklist and your mind encrypted. You're like, okay, not too away from the bear, not too away from this.
Yeah, it's not written out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Presented to you.
That seems a little bit almost more thinky in some ways because you don't have it written down. You can't they both, I feel like, can suffer from somebody playing as a big time analysis paralysis. Like if you're going to study every single thing, you could sit there for a while. So I probably wouldn't recommend this for somebody that really wants to sit there, soak every fact they have through the whole game in, deduce, and unless they're quick at it. But if there's somebody that's slow and they want to take their time, then that's going to be rough because you have a lot of things to consider, especially in an expert mode where there's 18 sectors and there's so many different rules you're going to find out through researching or whatever. Also mentioned that when we first start a game, you can select, beyond that, you can select, you're going to play expert mode, but you're going to do beginner facts.
Yeah.
Expert facts or genius or whatever.
And that's how much
or
starting
youth.
Information you get.
There's a youth one too,
yeah,
right?
so that'll determine how much right away you know
to
start the game.
We have not done the genius, which is 0 facts. We do the experience, which is 4 facts. We did whatever the other one is, beginner or standard, whatever, with 8 facts.
Maybe, something like that.
Yeah, we did the 8 fact one, which is fine, but I think 4 is good. When you first play the game, I do recommend standard, just to get your feel, get your feet wet. Go ahead and do your one standard game. It's still a lot of fun, but it does amp up quite a bit on the expert, so I don't see after one game why you would go back to standard. Unless to teach it to other people or to use those paper if you want to go back and forth, because it is double-sided, so you're going to have just as many standard size, unfortunately, as you do expert. It would be nice if it was 80-20.
One book of each or something too would be good.
Yeah, but you get plenty of them. It's just I would rather it be swayed to expert because they know that's even it kind of tells you if you're after one game you can play expert now.
Yeah.
So why do we have equal? If why do we have exactly, why can't you just let 80-20?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm gonna run out of expert, and I'm gonna have all these standard ones left. I'm gonna have 100 of them. Like I don't know. I guess we can play this rinky-dink version.
Yeah. Or we start training out some children.
Yeah.
And get them to...
It'll be a quicker game. So if you don't want to sit here and play Planet X as long, you can it'll probably make you feel smarter too if you're playing the standard after you play a lot of expert.
Yeah, you could do standard genius.
Can you? Is that the?
I don't know. I would think you could.
Maybe I might be able to do that. That might be all right.
That could help.
So, back to the review.
Yeah.
Scoring in the game is okay. I don't know. It seems like if you find Planet X, you might win. It's not that heavy, so you'll get 10 points, but your opponent could get 10 points as well. If they were what they do is based upon, because you're going to move up 5 spots when you go to locate Planet X, right or wrong, doesn't matter. You move up 5 times. So your opponent, if they're in the same spot as you, they could now solve Planet X and get exactly the same score if they're correct. Exactly. It doesn't matter. If they're 1 spot ahead of you, they're going to get 8 points still. And I don't know. 10 points could be made up by finding 2 gas clouds, Or
Yeah,
that's like
I got 8
right there.
points, yeah.
So those gas clouds are super important. Comets are super important. There's not that many of them, but those add up. And what I'm talking about is the peer reviews. When you start certain those are very important. Those are hugely important. They score you a ton of points. A bulk of your points are not going to be finding Planet X. That might be a quarter of your points.
Yeah, it's not really like the whole game is not just the Planet X.
I do think that's more positive than negative because I don't want it to just be a race to find Planet X necessarily.
Yeah.
Because you want more things to find. That's nice. There's just something about the gratification of finding Planet X first, but it doesn't mean anything really. It means, okay, I got 10 points. We'll see if they get 10 points now or 8 points.
I like the app noise every time you put something in, and it makes like this really good noise, and then when you do it's wrong, it's like, like it's not right, and so that's very gratifying too.
And honestly, that criticism right there, I'm not sure I would even change it. That's how light of a criticism it is. Would I change it? Well, maybe I'd make it 12, 14 points, something like that. But would I change that other things are scoring quite a bit? No, not really. Maybe the gas clouds take them down to the same as a comet because there are just as many in the game, right? There are 2 comets and there are 2 gas clouds, right? So gas clouds are a little heavier.
But the comets are easier to find because they're marked in they're only in certain sectors.
That's correct, and that's a good point. So that's why it's done.
That's why it's like that, I think. Yeah.
That is, I agree. So
what's your score?
Yeah. So my score, I was trying to think if there's anything I want to add, turn-wise, negatives. It does feel like a little like an activity. It doesn't feel like when I'm done playing this a few times. Let's say we played it 4 times.
Yeah.
Vic has won 3. She won 3, the first 3 out of the gate. I finally won 1 just now.
Yeah.
It does feel like more of an activity. You kind of crave a board game after this.
Yeah.
But still, it's awesome. It's an 8-7 for me. I really like it. I really do like it. If you want something to think about, if you're a logical person and you want something to just sit back, you can play this on the couch. You can have you can sit on the couch. The board will be a table between you, but you can kind of just sit back on your phone. It's nice if you have 2 devices.
Yeah, if you use more than one. We tried sharing a device the first time, which you can totally do.
Yes, definitely.
But it was nice to have your own little phone to query things. You're announcing your actions as well. Something I didn't explain while I was going through is on the sheet, you're actually going to mark off what action each person is doing. So you'll see an example there that I've done that. But yeah, you'll be doing that. So it's totally, you're going to be still interacting with each other. But
yeah, so it's something you can actually sit back, and there's a lot of people that want games like that where you can just sit back and play a game. You don't have to be like sitting over a table. You don't necessarily have to do that. This can be sitting out on a table.
Yeah. But
you can just be, saying, I'm gonna survey 11 through 17, and then find your answer, write it down on your pad or whatever, and you don't have to interact as much with the board. You move up your spot, and then another person's turn, gonna sit back.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, so I have a lot of the same thoughts that Nick does about this game. It's really great to feel smart. This game made me feel very clever. I went in thinking, oh boy, I'm not as logical as Nick. Maybe I won't get this. Maybe there's going to be times that I'm overwhelmed by the information and I don't know. But having everything listed out on this one, I love reference sheets. If you watch our channel, you know how much I enjoy having reference sheets, and this is really great. It tells you how many quantities of each thing, so you don't have to remember and go, oh boy, I don't know. And then when you play, obviously, with the expert mode, they cleverly include this addition to it, which I'll show a picture of. But it is an additional rule set just as a reminder, so you always know the configurations of how the dwarf planets can be. And it's just great. I love to be able to quickly look at that and not spoil it by having to ask him, like, oh, you don't really have to, you can just totally play the game on your own, which is really great. So I have a lot of fun with it. I enjoy the materials. The production quality, I think, is quite high. I mean, this sheet is a little thin, but it's not too thin. It's normal. I don't know what more you could want, like something metal. I don't know. But the board is nice. The colors are pretty. I think that it has a nice table presence if you were caring about that sort of thing. I think it does look quite nice. And the way it turns and the way you're looking at the board will make a difference. And you need to be careful when you're looking at your sheet that you're not getting confused. There is an easy way that you can make an error by targeting a sector that you're not actually looking at. So you do have to use your mind a lot in this game, which I don't mind. And I was able to play this after, not being my brightest, after a long day, not very much sleep, traveling. We were able to jump into this and I won. So it's not too heavy on your brain. It's not as thinky as you may think a game full of logic would be. So I love that about that. You don't feel devastated by logic.
No, I wouldn't say so.
No. And it's just fun. It's so fun to find things. I mean, if it's almost like a detective game because you're trying to, okay, this item can't be beside this. There's always one or more of these together. And once you start finding those things out, your theories are proven right. It's so exciting. There's really nothing I dislike about the game. I like that you're given a chance to locate Planet X after someone else does. So it's not, it's done and you can't get those points and that's not accessible. And that all that work you were doing to try to narrow it down. I mean, there's been times right at the end he discovered it. Now I got to try to find it. And I wasn't really ready yet. But I could still get it right. I don't
That's
think...
like every time.
Yeah.
So far, a 4 for 4.
Yeah.
I discover it, and she discovers it right next turn. It's like, I guess I lose.
So it's good, you don't we don't have a problem. We had one huge game with me scoring a lot of points, but Nick had employed a different strategy. I think I was just trying to get all my theories out, which was huge for me. So my score for this game is a 9.1. Nice. I really like it. I can't say anything really bad about it. I mean, there's really not anything I could say. I just well put together, and I would highly recommend it.
I think my criticism, one thing, Vic likes the board. I think it's functional. I think it's a functional board. It's not that great. The border's okay, I guess. This is all functional to me. This isn't that great looking. But I do like the graphic design on these. I like the font. I like the way it looks. That's really nice. And at first I was frustrated by it because this is just a standard and I didn't see these and that saved it. I was getting frustrated. Why isn't this true in an expert? Where is the expert?
Yeah.
Okay, it's here. It's separate.
Yeah. And that's when I noticed the dwarf planet configurations and I went, because the whole time we were playing for quite a while before we discovered those extra sheets.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll also add, I don't know if we mentioned that you only get 2 of these in expert. You get 2 targets.
Yeah.
Did
I said that you can only target twice.
So if you were thinking, okay, why don't you just target all game? Well, you can do that twice. That's it. Then you're done. And you might want to save those because those come in a lot more handy the later you wait. I feel like.
Yeah, that is true. I know.
The components, I mean, for me, they're not that great. These are not good. But again, it's not a game that needs deluxe components at all. I actually wouldn't. I mean, it's just going to be more price tag. So
yeah, and it's kind of not really the focus. The focus is it's an app-driven game. Mm-hmm. That could be bad for some people if they don't like having games that are you need an app for. But for me, I mean, it makes sense because that is going to link up your games together. It's going to set your rules, and it's always varied. So it would be almost the replayability would be limited without the app.
If you are still refuse to get it with the times and not get apps for board games or be a real stickler, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. There are plenty of games that have great apps. Mansions of Madness. This one's fantastic. And
Gloomhaven,
Chronicles of Crime. Gloomhaven is optional, but it helps so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, and there was one other thing I wanted to add before we go, and I can't think of it. Brain fart.
Oh well.
Hold on, I'm gonna cut right here because I'm gonna think about it. So cut.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, I just thought of it. So the other thing that when Vic was saying about it reminding her of a detective game, I think this is a lot lighter in a sense because you don't have to recall maybe something that happened, like, oh yeah, Big Booty Judy was here at 7 o'clock, and she said this. And you don't have, you actually, as you discover things, you're crossing things off, you're circling possibilities and circling the correct answer. So it's there. It's there. You have it set in stone. If you made that mark, you know you have something that supported that. Instead of writing this whole document about Judy and where she saw this.
Yeah, and her color of her eyes,
Yeah,
and her dress size.
the noise she heard. Yeah, I don't like that. Like Sherlock Holmes takes way too long, and I'm like, come on. I like the sandbox of it, but this one, I like the fact I can just cross it off, and there I go.
Be done with it. And,
Yeah.
and marking, him and I would do a lot of marking around the sides too. You can organize your information any way that makes sense to you. There's no hard way to do it. If you don't, if you want to write out the full word of things, you can use symbols, which the symbols are throughout the game for the different, like you can draw little pictures, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And just figure it out, figure out where the planets are and where the objects are. And that's the game.
Yeah, if you want, where it says the research, if you want like gas planets and asteroids, you can put ass and gas. It's all right. Like, however you want to do your notes, buddy.
So that's our review of The Search for Planet X. We picked it up on its second run of print. It was a little challenging at first. When we first heard about it, we wanted it. We couldn't find it. We were waiting it out for the reprint. Got it as soon as that launched in May. We were able to snag that. So we're really excited. So you may still be able to grab a copy of it. And if you do, you will really enjoy it, we think.
Yep.
So thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed our review. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy our content, subscribe to our channel for more. We will see you next time.
Have fun.
Bye.